Hello. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's stream. Put myself up here, like my cowboy hat. I left my cowboy hat on. I drew it for the Far West stream, and I kind of like it. It doesn't stick to my head though, which is a cowboy hat problem. But you know what? It turned out way better than I expected. I did the trying to find clip art of anything to like pin is just like an absolute nightmare. So I've taken this, like, if I want an accessory for a stream, just drawing it myself. Let's see over here. One hat, expertly drawn. I did use a reference, not trace, but just like looked at the screen of a cartoon cowboy hat. I think mostly the little highlight line here in the front really brings the hat together. So welcome to today's Friday stream. 2 weeks in a row. Pretty good record. I am going to take the hat off because it is very distracting that it is not actually properly attached to my little orange head. How do I get rid of hats? Unlock all items. Okay, let's pin that wine glass. Oh, there we go. Wine glass is pinned. Goodbye, hat. Goodbye. Bye. Okay, hat's gone. Wine glass is here. Welcome to the stream. I'm Standish VTuber. I'm here to talk and chat. It is Friday, my guys. It's been a week. It's been a long week. I feel like I go through periods. Maybe other people do as well, where you have like nothing going on. It's kind of like a fallow period, and then like you have like every day is full and busy and just like one thing after another. That's been this week, and I'm like, how's it? It's finally Friday. I think by like Tuesday night, I was like, whoa, glad it's Friday, and it's like, it is Tuesday, my friends. So I have my little list here. I have my glass of wine. I'm drinking a 2023 Novelty Hill Merlot. I believe Novelty Hill is in the Southern Washington wine growing region. If I had a Columbia Valley, maybe if I had a gander, take a quick guess there. Little guess. Cause it's Friday. I got a couple topics. I'm gonna write an agenda out. You know why? I feel like doing it. So let's see. First off, my Novelty Hill label is right here. Mark that off myself. That's on a different layer, so gotta keep your layers intact. So, I went and not spoilers, absolutely zero spoilers. But I'm going to talk briefly about seeing The Amazing Digital Circus in theaters last night, and then a subset of that is talking about fandoms, and then a similar topic, in a weird way, is Pride. It is Pride Month. It is June. Happy Pride, etc., and how I feel about and like my experience with that. It's gonna be a brief topic. I had an interview today, so I'll briefly touch on my widow interview today for a new job, and then we're gonna talk about fiddles. And then lastly, the main bulk of today's stream. I'm not gonna foolishly say I expect it to be like an hour long, but we'll see how long the stream is. Session 0. So this is going to be the bulk of the stream, and I have a document here. We're gonna session dry run. Essentially, I am starting a new role-playing campaign tomorrow afternoon, with five players, And it's mostly we're gonna mostly play online on Tuesdays. As my Tuesday time slot is never, so I never stream on Tuesdays. But our first session is going to be in person. And we are trying a new method of not using a pre-built campaign, not having the DM fully homebrew something, but instead do a collaborative campaign where we build the world together. And so I have a series of questions for my players about the world. And based on those answers, that will determine what the game looks like, what the campaign looks like, and what the world we play in looks like. And so what I want to do tonight is go through that list of questions I had and create default answers. Because there's some things I'll be asking and be like, oh, what level of magical technology do you want? And they'll be like, they won't care. And so I want to have like a good solid default written down, and then their answers will be like deviations from that, without forcing them to do all the creative work. Like, surprise, what type of god pantheon do you have? And have no one think about it. So I kind of want to go through that, create those default answers for myself tomorrow, for when I bring those up with the players, and then maybe draw a practice map or two, because I have one of those like 4 foot by 3 foot by 4 foot ChessX battle maps that we're going to be using to draw the world map on. So it should be generally speaking, pretty good. Oh, sorry. 1 second. Close Discord. There we go. And so that's kind of the agenda. Going to drink wine through it. Going to chat. Going to deviate from the topics. Am I going to draw? Probably not. Maybe, but honestly, probably not much drawing today. Just because, but I like chatting with the drawing things. I like occasionally like scribbling or writing words down. Comforting. It's comforting. Let's start. Actually, I'm gonna rearrange. I'm gonna put fiddle first. I had my 4th ever fiddle lesson on Wednesday. So I've been 1 month into learning how to play the fiddle, and I talked about this last stream. I really shouldn't say that because it doesn't particularly matter. But the class ended. It was a 4-week class, and there is a second follow-on class that is only sometimes offered. And so I went into class on Wednesday, and I'm like, dear teacher, Fiddle Senpai, are you offering the next class? And he was like, oh, I guess I could if people are interested. And me and the only other student in the class were both like, yes, we want to continue these group classes that are not even half, right, quarter price. It's like $125 for like 4 1-hour lessons. Like, good God, that is like such a steal for lessons. But those won't pick up until June 24th or so. So I'm gonna have a couple weeks of trying to practice on my own and learn on my own. The last song we learned was the start of a song called Old Joe Clark, which honestly I have never heard, but the other student who is like a bass player originally has heard. But what I found, and I'm so excited for this, I found essentially like about a dozen beginner fiddle tunes with the sheet music, but also with the finger tabs, which I didn't know existed for violin. But they'll be like, you are playing A3, and you're just like, oh, thank God that you're telling me that it's A3, because I'm looking at like otherwise if you're looking at that's a terrible treble clef. How do you draw a treble clef? Something like this. If you're looking at let's see, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that, right? Piano, I get it for piano because I can be like, oh, I'm on G, right? You're like, I'm solidly on G. You're like, fucking nailed it. I know G. I know where G is on the keyboard. Or you're like, what is it? It's like, you're on C. Right, C, D, E. Oh no, it's not C. So C, you're on C. Oh. You're on C, you're middle C, right? You're like, I got this. But fiddle, I don't have any of that muscle memory or knowledge of like where the string fingering positions are relative to sheet music, right? And that's a hard step. Like it took a long time to get the I see oh my god, I have a wrong window open. I see like the note printed and I know what key that corresponds on the keyboard. I'm still struggling to like bow and play an E, like a open E without it sounding terrible. But the sheet tab is the same thing, but it has this like, instead of the treble clef, it just has, what is it, G, D, A, E. It just has the 3 strings, and then it's like 3, 0, 2, 1 for like, oh, it's your 3rd finger position on the E string, open 2, 1. And I'm like, oh my god, this is so much easier. This is so much easier than this, at least at this stage. Mostly I don't know, like like my piano training has not taught me to read and translate into fiddle, especially because like the default hand positions on fiddle are like A sharp. It's like you're playing it and you have 3 sharps, so it's gonna be what's that? That's C sharp, D, C sharp, F sharp, G sharp, or the default it's like C sharp. Like the key signature, like the bass key signature on fiddle, something like this. And I'm like, why is the bass key signature 3 goddamn sharps? And I'm like, that's just how strings work. And you're like, ugh, awful. But it's going well. It's going well. I'm still enjoying it, which is the big key for me for learning a musical instrument, is I'm here to enjoy the journey. And if I can play a sick fiddle tune by the end, oh, even better. You can't like casually bring a piano somewhere, but you could almost bring a fiddle to like an adult summer camp, and be like, oh man, time to bust out some sick ass fiddle tunes. The dream. However, there is the piano version of like seeing a piano in an event space, being like, maybe I'll just play a couple notes. Maybe we'll play a couple notes on this piano and impress everybody in aura farm like nothing else. That's the goal. That's the real goal, is look cool and impress women. That's my goal for most things, if I'm being perfectly honest. But one thing I still need to look into, I have it right next to me. Here, let's see if I can if it makes noise at all. That's what's on. I have my hand cam set up. So it's like a little lever arm that clamps to my desk, and I attach a camera to it, and I use that camera. So I do my piano hand cam streams with. And I'm trying to think of a way to do a violin practice hand cam stream, but I'm still need to work out how to do that without just like doxing my face on stream. Right? So I'm thinking of doing like, because most fiddle and violin streams I've looked up are just like head-on, like regular head-on streams of like a real flesh tuber person. But I'm thinking about doing a top-down of just like looking down on the fiddle, and then either wearing like, I like a straw wide-brimmed hat or something, or some goofy hat to wear to not show my little head. So I'm thinking about it. It's on my to-do list to practice and try and like see if it works. I did kind of like enjoy midday. I like a fishing hat. I have a wide-brimmed straw hat I bought in the South Carolina Outer Banks. I have one of those. I have a floppy Ren Fair hat with a big feather in it, which by the way I'm bringing to my D&D session tomorrow. Is my DM hat. And then I have some baseball hats. Oh no, little glasses. It's mostly I don't want to dox myself, is what it comes down to. And I like, the problem is I move a lot when I practice and I do most things. And so I can't do like a face on stream and just have like a big static image, right? I can't have the, like, here's me. And then like, here's my little fiddle, the bow. This hand is like this. And like I can't do this and then be like, I'm gonna put on a big, essentially fake Kigurumi PNG on top of my like actual face, and then practice that way, because that seems high risk. Because like if I'm practicing, I move a lot around a lot. I'll drop something, I'll set something down, I'll reach for a glass. I'll look into it. Not because I think I'm good in any way, shape, or like it's going to sound bad. It's going to sound really bad, but it sounds weird. I think I do better when I know that there's a chance I'm being watched. It's like a piano practice. If I know there's an audience, I'll practice very differently than if I'm alone, just because like if I'm alone, there's no accountability and I could be like, oh, good enough. But I'm like, oh God, someone could be watching. And I'm like, actually then try a little bit harder, which is fine. But I want to practice it because I think honestly, I think it's fun. I think having elaborate tech setups, unnecessarily elaborate tech setups to do a 20-minute stream in the middle of the day, mwah, perfect. So that's fiddle. I'm excited. I'm enjoying it still. My goal was to enjoy it for 3 months, and look at there. The one thing I'm worried about, the place I'm renting my fiddle from hasn't actually charged me. Oh, you know what it is? They charge the first 2 months up front. That's what it is. That's why they haven't charged me this month. Okay. I'm fine. I'm like, it's one of those moments of like, I'm supposed to pay this person money. Like, I want to give them my money. I want to make sure they get that money. I hate like feeling like I owe someone money and they're not accepting it. Ugh. It's why I like artist platforms like VGen or Skeb. It's just because I can like, the platform itself handles the money for me. So I don't have to be like, when do I give your second half payment? Artist, can I just like shove money at you until you're happy? Slight diversion. I have like 5 art commissions in flight. I kind of wanted to add more, but I would give myself like, I actually have what you call a budget. But one of them got back to me after like 2 months, I think I commissioned start of May. And they're like, I am so sorry. I've not been able to work on anything. School's been super busy, but I'm getting to work. And I'm like, you are still in school. Please take my money, prioritize school, and do the art commission when you can, because school is much more important than drawing fox boys. Controversial take, I know, but one I deeply feel as someone who spent 9 years in college. It's more important than drawing your character here art of myself for summer. I should judge what that one was. It might have been this one. But it's also fun because you could, oh no, I commissioned a generic like 90s anime shoujo style headshot, which I love 90s shoujo style anime headshots. I need to commission more of them. I found a couple, I found someone who commissions intro scenes, and I'm like, oh, I could commission like an intro animation loop for streams. But then I'm like, oh, but I put so much work into my own. Like, but I'm like, but theirs looks so much cooler. And I think I might just, in a couple weeks, commission it because, well, first off, it's someone who's like, they're in like, oh my God, I have mixed feelings when I find some artist who is like charging like $25, and I look at the work output and I look at the quality of it. I'm like, this buck wild that this is $25. Then you look at the profile and it just says like languages spoken. And it's like English, conversational. Then it's like Malay. And you're like, they are in Indonesia. Like for them, $25 is probably a lot of money in terms of like currency arbitrage and things. But I still feel like, as we got the tipping, it comes in and everything. Flip side though, I sometimes see some Japanese artists, so I'm like, oh my god, their style is so cool. Like this is so amazing. Like I would really want to commission them. Then I click on their profile and like they have like a Skeb site. I'm like, oh man, they have a Skeb site, so cool. I click it and it's like, one Skeb commission is $400. So I'm like, fair. That's a fair price for the quality you are providing and way out of my budget. But I enjoy commissioning artists. It's fun. It makes me feel like I'm actually like, I feel like I'm probably doing more good by giving artists money than I am anything else in my life. Definitely better more than my job. Ha ha ha. Ha ha. So that was the title. Good transition to interview. Interview. I had a recruiter reach out to me on Monday or last week. In my head, it's Monday, so I'm sticking to that story that it was Monday. It was a recruiter for I think it was last week, but I had a technical interview set up for today. So tech screen. So the most, for those who are not suffering through working in tech, the interview process generally looks like HR screen, 30 minutes. Tech screen, 60 minutes. Hiring manager, 30 minutes. 3x. Interviews with team, 16 minutes. And then usually at this point, it's usually like hiring manager again or skip level. So the boss, your boss's boss, as a final check. So usually this is the usual process. So it's like 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 to 60 minute interviews with like other people on the team, and then with your hiring manager. And this is the normal process that's been kind of like the standard for ever since I started, to be honest. So ever since 2014, a dozen years ago. That's a standard process. So I did this one to check. Ryan has 2 1-hour tech screens, which I'm not too thrilled about. But I did one today, and then we'll move on to the rest of them, hopefully later. But the tech screen, so my day job, my day today, my go-to, I probably said this on stream, I'm a data scientist. Currently, I'm a BI engineer because I got lazy. But this role's for like an analytics engineer, which doesn't particularly matter. So the tech screens are two screens of SQL, and mine today, it was wild. It was wild because like I've not done an interview tech screen in a while, in like 5 years. I've been like about 5 years. I've not done one for 5 years. And going into it, I'm just like, oh, okay. I've not prepped. I did 0 interview prep. They're like, please send us your updated resume. And I literally sent them one that said Sanish 2024. That was actually secretly last updated 2022. And I'm like, this recruiter reached out to me. They said I would fit their role. So I'm the one in demand here. I'm not applying for this job. They asked for me. And so I'm putting 0 effort into prep. And so yesterday, or Wednesday, I got an email from the company saying, so the recruiter you talked to on Monday is no longer with the company. You have a new recruiter now. And I'm like, I've never had a recruiter fired mid-process before. But after talking to them on Monday, oh, you know what it is? Last week, I got the Monday interview. So on Monday, I talked to the recruiter. And like after talking to them on Monday, I'm like, I'm not sure I want this job, but I'll go through the process. Why not? And now that the recruiter who made me feel that way got fired, I'm just like, maybe they were like about to quit, about to get fired. They were just kind of phoning it in. So it's fine. So, but today's tech screen, it was 60 minutes long, and I finished all the technical questions in 30 minutes, which made me feel pretty smug. But also like the question, They're all SQL questions, and they were so easy. There was no tricks. They give you a clean data set. It was like absolutely wild. Like I've had some hard as shit technical interviews in my career, and this one is super easy. The other one that was super easy was Facebook. Facebook's interview process was like the dumb easiest thing I've ever been through. And this one is from another, this whole thing is from another FANG company. So it's another FANG, or was it called like Manga? Or is it Manga now? Let's see. F is now M, G is now A, Amazon's still Amazon, Apple's still Apple. It's GAF. No, GOM. They ruined the acronym. But it's like, I'll go through this and I'll see. It's fun to talk to people. But the guy I interviewed has been at the company for 17 years. And I'm like, that is crazy pants. That is crazy pants to be at a single role for 17 years. To be at a single major tech company for 17 years and still be working. It's like, how have you been working at this one tech company for 17 years and you haven't made like $30 million in stock options and retired? Like, why do you still have this job? My God. Absolutely bonkers to me. Absolutely bonkers this guy's still working. I would have been out. I'm on the verge of going out right now. So this interview, it's kind of the interview's in a funny place because I'm on the verge of taking like a year or two off of work, year to two to forever off of work. And so I'm like, they need to really convince me to work here. And I'll admit, if they double my salary, I will sell myself out. Like, that is not a problem. I will hoover myself out for double my salary. No problem. No questions asked. And then I can funnel that money into art commissions and unnecessary model updates. That's the key. That's the key. If I double my salary and funnel all that money into artists, that could be worth it. But interview, surprisingly easy. And I'm like, either there's two of them, right? Either the second one's gonna be really hard to make up for it, or, and this is hard, like sometimes it's hard for me to accept this, I might just be good at my job. And that's like very possible. The problem is, like, I think I'm very good at my job on the technical side, but I don't give enough shits for the political side of it. And so I don't ever progress in a role. Like my annual feedback, my boss was like, maybe you should set some goals that'll get you some projects with more visibility in the org, because org visibility is how you progress in your career. And I'm like, don't care, didn't ask. Just give me that paycheck you promised me. I will minimize my work to 3 hours per day. I did 1 hour of work today. I did 1 hour of work. Then I goofed off for the rest of the day. Like, I don't want to progress my career. That sounds like responsibilities. That sounds like leading things. Being visible means people ask you questions. Oh, no, thank you. I'm not about that responsibility. I want to be technically very competent. I want people to tell me how smart I am and pat me on the head. And that's about it. Oh, and to pay me lots of money. I'll take all of your money, please. Just gobble it up. Dum, 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 dum. I would like to say I'm overpaid, but I think realistically everybody else is just underpaid. Rising tide and all of that. Eat the rich, no more but the class war, etc., etc. Interview done, fiddle done. Perfect. Let's switch gears here. Drink some wine. I am looking at this wine glass. So here's where'd that pen go? So see, we have this, where's my mouse? There's a wine glass to my right. That's about as, I'll just draw it. I poured a very generous pour of wine for myself at the start of the stream. I started here. I'm now about here, and that's a problem. Fucking Merlot. remember to aerate the wine this time, let the wine breathe a bit so it feels better. So let's talk about the Amazing Digital Circus and fandoms. So for those who are not aware, the Amazing Digital Circus is a independent animation series of 9 episodes put forth by Glitchworks, made by Goose, or Gooseworks, put forth by Glitch. Not entirely sure. It is a Western 3D show for adults. Well, for kids too, whatever. Kids should be exposed to traumatic things early, let them build up character. I went into it a couple, like probably 5 months ago. I saw some people on Blue Sky, I want to say, talking about it. I'm like, I think when episode 8 came out, that's what it is. Episode 8 came out. I saw a bunch of discourse online. I'm like, you know what? I'll check this thing out. Let me draw a circus in real quick. Circus tent. That's my circus tent. I'll check this out. So I watched the first episode. I'm like, I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure about this. And so I stuck with it. They're short episodes. I'm like, let me watch a couple more. Because the last time I did this was for Alien Stage, where I saw some hype along the penultimate episode. And I went through and I binge watched all of Alien Stage while in a hotel room in Austin, Texas, waiting for the solar eclipse. What's the name of the hotel? But anyway, which was a weird trip. That was a weird trip because I planned it when I was in a relationship still. And so it was me and my partner at the time. We're going to go to the eclipse in Austin. We booked it a year ahead of time. But between booking it and arriving, we broke up and moved out. I moved out. Well, we both moved out and sold our house. And so then all of a sudden this joint duos trip was a solo trip for myself to hotel. In hotel, I picked more to appeal to her sensibilities than my own. So I was kind of in this kind of funky hotel that wasn't quite my thing. And then I'm like, I learned about Alien Stage and I binge watched it in the hotel room. What a weird. I feel like I've had a lot of, I came up earlier this week also about like post breakup experiences. And like, I've only had like 2 really major adult relationships, but man, it feels like a lot. Both were like 5. One was like 8 years. One was 5 years. So maybe that's why they feel a lot more impactful than instead of like, oh, I dated them for 3 months and then we broke up, sort of thing. Anyway, the Amazing Digital Circus, penultimate episode about 6 months ago. About 3 episodes in, I kind of got into it and I caught up to the series. And like, oh well, this is like pretty good for like an indie animation. I love anime. Look at me. I love anime. And I've always loved cartoons. Like growing up, I watched so many Western style cartoons. From like your Rugrats, your Rocko's Modern Life, your Looney Tunes, your Gargoyles, your Dugs, your Courage the Cowardly Dog. I always loved animation as a medium, animation and like cartoon style art as a medium. But I feel like as an adult, it's much harder to find especially in the West, cartoon content that's not just like, this is aimed at kids, you know? And so you get your occasional Amazing Digital Circus, your occasional Has-Been Hotels, or Hell of a Boss. Actually, I've not seen Hell of a Boss. Or what other like adult Western animations have there been? I feel like the more anime has more of them, which is why I appealed to anime. So I saw that. I'm like, I'll watch it. I'll check it out. And it's pretty good. I watched it. I got through the 8 episodes. I binge watched it. Let me be honest. I binge watched it. And so then when I saw that they're coming to theaters, I'm just like, I don't like movie theaters. I think this yesterday really cemented to me that I just don't really like the whole theater experience. I don't like the having to leave my apartment to go there. I don't like the finding your assigned seats ones. You're finding your seat. someone was in my seat and they wanted to switch with me because they were a group of 3. It was like, you know, it was like seat, 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 me, seat, and they booked these 4. And so when I got there, they were in my seat and I had to like switch over, which is totally fine. I had no problem with that. But then I spent like, there was like one open seat next to me. I spent the whole time of like, what if they weren't truthful and like someone else was going to come in and take the seat? Because that happened to me before in the Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Rings showing, where it's like this anxiety that like you're in the wrong seat and someone may like come in the dark and they're doing that, like that movie theater shuffle and you're in the wrong seat, but you're on the wrong seat for some other reason. You have to explain this whole context and the social anxiety kicks in. I hate it. Like you're hearing people through the whole show. People are like rummaging popcorn as if they're like forearm deep into some bucket of corn, trying to like scrabble the bottom of the bag. And like, I'm just like, I don't care for it. I don't care for it. But I decided to go for 2 reasons. 2 reasons. One, to support the creators. They made a post saying like, I think they said like, hey fans, this is super important to us. Because A, we release this content for free on YouTube, and you goddamn leeches need to give us some money. They didn't say that, but that's how I read it. I want to support the creators and support the artists who made the show. And so through movie ticket sales was one of them. And the second one, which I kind of like felt deep in me as a VTuber, was like, we want to legitimize independent animation into the mainstream media landscape via having actual sold out shows in movie theaters. And I'm like, that's a good ass reason. I'll take it. So I bought tickets when they came out. When I bought tickets, they were only showing for like 2 days in limited theaters in the Seattle area. So I'm like, oh shit, I need to hop on this fast. So I bought tickets. Oh, like 3 days passed and they're like, we just got 16 more showings. I'm like, I didn't have to rush to opening night, packed theater. So I did see some people in cosplay, which I always appreciate people in cosplay. There's a couple of Pomnies, which by the way, I've been eyeing a Pomni outfit to be a jester at a Ren fair, but I'm like, not quite, but I'm like, unless, not quite. I want a jester outfit. I think it comes down to I want a jester outfit. So I think that is inherently who I am as a person, as a jester. But I went, premiere, went great. I think it was a good finale. And that's what matters, right? I thought it was good. I don't have anyone to talk to about it, and that's okay. But it's what it is. Probably the highlight was as I was entering, lady checking tickets complimented my nail color. I'm like, yes, I got a compliment. Because on Thursday, it was nail painting day. I had like my weekly calendar was like 8 a.m., 10, 12, 2, 4. It was like this block here was like absolutely solid meetings at work. And so I'm like, 3 hours of meetings? Sounds like this box boy's about to paint his nails on company time. So I painted my nails on Thursday. A lovely shade of red. I like them a lot. And it made me realize I need a better base coat for my nails. And also I'm missing green. I want a good green color. And I really want a sandish orange. Essentially, I want the entire sandish color palette for my nails, which coincidentally is the Aeroace color palette. When I thought about it a little bit deeper, I'm like, ah, shit. Not my eyes, but like if I put my coat on, like blue, orange, white, I'm just like, oh no. I accidentally stumbled into that. I think so. Blue, orange, white. Yeah, blue, orange, white. And like it's like blue, orange, white, like dark blue, light blue, orange, yellowish, orange, white. I'm just like, ah, no. Absolute coincidence, but fitting, but very fitting. So one thing I noticed, so going back to the digital circus, what I've noticed as an adult, not as adult, as a kid, as an adult, as an anime fan, I don't think I'm definitely not the ace icon. Rin Penrose is the ace icon for VTubers. Rin Penrose being John VTuber, the most popular ace streamer. And Rin's original design, I will say, was inspiration for my design, my current model. But Rin has recently got her 2.0 model, which looks great. But they had the whole like VTuber royalty type aesthetic that the aristocratic aesthetic that I just liked. But they also have a British accent, which is like a cheat code for that. I'm not sure how many other Aero Ace VTubers are. There are definitely like a handful of them. I thought about the other day of like, do I need to like try to create a Pacific Northwest Seattle VTuber group? Because I've seen some like other regional type groups crop up, and I'm like, how many other Pacific Northwest VTubers are there? Like, Seattle's got to be like chock-a-block full of VTubers. Like, this is a city of nerds and dweebs and and super cool people and queers. Like, that's the right mix of ingredients to build a VTuber. But with Digital Circus, in anime in general, and most things I enjoy, I realize I don't like fandoms. Like, not the concept. I have no problem with people being fans and being in fandoms and all that sort of thing. I personally don't really enjoy being part of a fandom because, like, I don't know. It never clicked with me. Like, I hear people talking about like, I was big into Naruto and like the online scene and the fanfics. And I'm like, I enjoyed anime, but I never felt compelled to seek out fan groups or like anime, like series specific subreddits or communities, or maybe digital circus communities, because I generally have found over the years that, like, with rare exception, most video game communities or anime communities make you dislike the product, make you dislike the show or the content. The only exceptions are when it's like the community is like meme heavy, or you've passed the point where it's so old that like everyone who's left either truly deeply loves it and is there for the memes. Like the Dark Souls community, perfect. I won't post or contribute, but I will occasionally check and lurk and check memes. Fantastic. Meme heavy ones, I'm fine with. But anything that starts like having deep discussions, I'm just like, I don't want to discuss this with people online. I will happily discuss it in person with friends. Absolutely. And that's my problem with the Digital Circus. I came out of that theater and I'm like, I kind of want to talk about this with somebody. And I'm like, I don't want to go online. And I'm pretty sure none of my friends have seen it. Mostly sure. So I've no one to talk to about it. And it's in a deep, what's the word? Not brigade, not blockade. Embargo. Ha! Spoiler embargo, because the movie release was yesterday, but the actual availability on YouTube for free is in 2 weeks, I think. And so like the movie started with a big warning being like, don't be an asshole and don't talk about this outside of the theater, because other people haven't had the chance to view it yet because maybe their local theaters didn't have it. And like, you don't want them to be spoiled and feel shitty about it because of local theater policy, or in a country that doesn't even have it at all. So it's not I enjoyed it and I enjoyed supporting them, but I'm not gonna talk about it. But it's something like I've noticed, like most media, like whenever I'm engaged in the community, I've always left feeling kind of bad. Or it's like if you go to any, oh man, if it's a competitive video game, don't look at those communities. You'll leave feeling awful. Just awful. You're like, I'm just here for funny memes, guys. And they're like, the devs don't know what they're doing. Lazy devs. And you're just like, why is everyone so angry? I'm just trying to have fun. It's why when I'm getting back into Final Fantasy 14, I've adamantly not looked up anything about the game, any sentiment from the community, nothing. I'm like, I'm going to enjoy it as is for my own opinions and keep them to myself. So that's me and fandoms. Oh God, we're at 46 minutes. Classic. And this, in a way, for me at least, feeds into my thoughts on pride. There was a post at my workplaces. There's, what do they call them? My company's like 10,000 people. We have a Slack. In the Slack, there is they're called employee resource groups, which is the most HR thing, but it's like employee resource group for, Asian and Pacific Islanders, employee resource group for Hispanic employees. And there's one that's employee resource group for Pride. I think it's called ERG Pride or something. And so they made a post about Pride for the month. And like, and they're asking like, what is your first memory of Pride? What does Pride mean to you? How have you experienced Pride and all that sort of thing? And as someone who's like, only realized they were Aero Ace a couple of years ago, like I have never been to Pride. And it's just a weird thing where it's like, I feel like if I was a different flavor of queer, right? If I'm like, oh man, I'm like, I really love men and I'm gay. It's very different. Like I feel headspace for going to like a Pride to celebrate it when it's like, there to celebrate a feeling you have, reversing being Aero Ace is like going to celebrate a feeling I don't have, right? As like celebrating an absence feels very kind of like odd to me. And it kind of like, it's like fandoms. It's like a terrible comparison to make, but it's like fandoms or anything where it's like, I've never felt drawn to any community based around like a single part, like a single thing about you, like a single like identity aspect. I'm just like, there's so much more to that. Just because you're also Aero Ace doesn't mean that like I like you. Right? Or it's like it's party based, or it's all about like I don't know. It's never. Also, I hate parades. I hate parades so much to the deep depth of my core. I've had to go to so many goddamn 4th of July parades as a kid that were just boring as shit, sitting in a hot summer day, no shade, and shitty folding chairs to watch some stupid ass parade. Like, here comes the fire truck that has some crepe paper on it. I'm just like, I don't care. I hate parades. I hate them so much. And so it's like, oh, let's go to a parade. I'm like, I don't care if it has a bunch of like, I don't care if like, it's a bunch of like lesbian filled decked out Subarus and just like a pickup truck with a bunch of gay guys in it. Like, I don't care. I don't care at all. Please don't make me go. So it's something like that question at work of like, what does it mean to you? And like, I didn't respond because I didn't want to be like a negative person, but it's kind of like well, I only came out a couple years ago, and it's like, I've never felt any sort of, I think what it is, and I see it's like on Blue Sky for people, some VTubers, is my theory. Here's my theory. If you came out and realized you're queer in some way in like, let's say high school, early college, it would be like a cornerstone of your identity for a large part of your life. While for me, having realized it and come out like in my late 30s, I have a life. I have I have who I am, a very strong idea of who I am. And it's just like another, like, if it's like, here is like all I am, it's like, it's a little brick in the corner. It's not like, a big giant, like 2/3 of myself identify as queer for my identity. It's like, it is a small identity of like, and so for me, it's like, I don't need to go celebrate that. Like, that's just like, it's part of who I am, but it's not like a cornerstone. I drew it as a corner. Pretend I didn't draw it as a corner. Like, what doesn't, there we go. It's not foundational to who I am. So the idea of going out to like a parade to celebrate, I'm like, No. Going to an anime convention? Yes. That one's fine. That's a bit larger section of like, it's like anime. Video games. And then we're just gonna physics. That's about it. That's about the right ratios. Distilled into a box. I put myself in a box. Delete that. Or actually, we're not gonna delete that. It came up because I used the "I'm something of scientist myself" meme. I'm at like I'm almost at 1,700 citations for my science papers. The rate has dropped. I was at about like 200. I was like 300 a year for a while, like 300 to 200 a year, and it dropped down to about 150 a year. I think we're down to like roughly like 100 a year in citation count. I'm only getting cited 100 times a year, so guys. My 5 papers have generated a lot of citations, which is bonkers. I'll put that there. Put that in that box. I got that check mark done. Physics, 1,700 citations. Maybe I'll hit 2K one day. I think it's like my H index is 16, 17. Same for the I index. For any academics in chat, I should look this up. Let me look this up. Google.com. My profile. Oh, it's only at 13. It's an H index of 13 and an I-10 of 14. Sad. Have I even published any papers? I'm 4 citations away from 1,700. Tut. Get on that. Who even cited me in the year of our Lord 2026? Who even cited me? You all. Oh no, Google. I need to check because I'm like, the last paper I wrote was 2014. Like, who is citing me and why? 200. This paper had 291 citations. Like, good God. Why would you do that? 76. Every now and then I forget that like I was a scientist in a previous part of my life. As a fox boy on the internet, it's easy to forget these things. But I was a scientist. Okay, latest one. Here we go. Particle dynamics in the Earth's radiation belt. Insight spatial availability of fire regimes. Fermi observations, that's fine. Oh, wait. I want, since 2016, here we go. Troposphere, climatology. They're still publishing papers? Wow. Climatology, India, low frequency electromagnetic waves. I don't know if my PhD advisor ever got a student after me. No, that one is all previous collaborators. Philippines, blah, blah, blah. Those maps look familiar. Okay. Cloudflare. Get out of here, Cloudflare. I have to list. Ooh, I don't know any of these names. Okay. Anyway. So I'm a scientist myself. Anyway. Pride. I don't think I'll ever go to Pride. However, I take it back. Like anything, I've mentioned this before and I stand by this. I'm susceptible to peer pressure. So if someone invited me to Pride, I would go. If someone invited me to interact with the fandom, I'd probably go. Essentially, I would do most things with friends. Well, the Venn diagram of like, there's like solo and with friends. Essentially, if a friend asked me to do something, I'd probably do it. I might not have interest, but like if a friend asked to do something, like of course I'd say yes to some, like an activity to hang out with friends. Absolutely. And I stand by it, because if you're doing something with friends, it's always more fun. Almost more fun. Being sick, not as fun. But like disc golf, I would never seek out disc golf on my own. If a friend asked to do disc golf, absolutely. I would never do knitting or crochet on my own. But if a friend said to me, said, Sanish, I want to teach you how to crochet, I'd be like, I'd give it a go. Probably. I'll give that one a maybe, because that one actually has that one's a high risk. So I'm giving that one a maybe. Like, oh, do you want to play this game together? Absolutely. And I don't know, doing things with friends is fun. I'm glad I've gone from 0 friends to several dozen friends. Been very nice. And also I purposely moved nearer to my friends, or nearer to a subset of my friends, to the point where like there's now a chance when if I'm out of my condo walking around, there's a chance I run into a friend, and it is amazing. I ran into a friend today at the gym. I was walking in, and she was walking out of the gym, and we stopped and chatted for a bit, which is a funny thing to think about, because like we both are AM gym goers, so we're both going to the gym before we've like showered, maybe at least for myself, or like fixed our hair or done any makeup or anything. So it's like the one person I see at the gym, she is the only person of all my friends who ever sees me like in a slightly in an unkempt state. And she goes to the gym. She normally has like impeccable makeup, like absolutely amazing eyeliner done, and just like how she puts herself together is like so consistent and just like always looks so good. But she doesn't have that when she goes to the gym. So I'm like, am I the only friend in this like particular large friend group who sees her in this state? And it's like this gym moment of like seeing your friends unkempt. You're just like, it's a rare privilege. But like running to a friend randomly at the gym or at the grocery store, it's like, it's great. So yeah, more friends to move closer, slowly expand the neighbor agenda. A lot of fun. Not sure I got there. You know how we got there? Because I drank a giant glass of wine, and we are good to go. Let's move on. We're going to move on to, or check. Nail polish compliments. I need more nail colors. Blah, 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 blah. Check. Let's move on to session 0. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take a quick 2-second break to get some more wine. Will I regret this in the morning? Let's not worry about it. I'll be back in BRB. 20 seconds. I'll leave it unmuted as I walk farther. I'm back. Headphones are on. We're back. I haven't had wine in a while. I think that's part of what's hitting me right now. I got a 24 case of Sapporo from Costco for $24 or so. And I've been just like living the light beer salaryman lifestyle for a while. So this is my first time with a bottle of wine in like 3-4, like in a month. And I'm feeling it. So let us talk about session 0. What is session 0? What are we doing here? So I am starting a... Scrolls back. Several of my friends we've been playing Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition for the last 8 years? No. Shit, 8 years or so. 9 years? 8 years. 8 years. We've been playing Dungeons and Dragons together for 8 years. 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. 2 of us have been the through line for all of these, and everyone else has like cycled in and out. We have hit the point where we have realized in our current group of it's me, Sanish, and then 3 jabronis who've been on stream before. The three jokers, chuckleheads, what do you want to call them, who have been on the stream before. There's Real McAshton, there's Soupy Soup, and then there's a Great Stack. These 3 chuckleheads, we've been playing D&D together for a while now, and we just finished a couple months ago. We finished Curse of Strahd with a Great Snack as the DM. And then we ran a 3-week session of Dino Island with Real McAshton as the DM. And now we're back to me, Sanish, to cycle as the DM. We kind of like cycle through who's the DM. And so this time this was 5e. This was Powered by the Apocalypse. And now I'm doing a Powered by the Apocalypse campaign. That is a fully homebrew campaign. Top of the dome, out of my head, get those creative juices flowing. But we're doing a collaborative campaign. What that means is we are building the world together that we are going to play in. And I'm, as a game master, I'm going to be leaning on them to ask them what happens, how does it happen, and based on what they say, my responsibility is to take that and work through what that implies for the world. For example, they're like, oh, perhaps they're at watch at camp, and I'm like, oh, you hear something rustling in the bush. And they're like, I threw a rock at the bush. And I'm like, what do you see coming out of the bush? And they could say, oh, I see a bunnicorn. And now I'm like, okay, I have to come up with a bunnicorn real quick stat block. How hostile is it? Is it bad? Is it valuable? Is it combative? And work from there. Essentially, it's like I'm the consequence engine for their actions. That's kind of how it comes out to be. So, but it's collaborative. I'm not dictating. I'm dictating some of the world. Haha. Like the rough framework. But tomorrow in our session 0, we'll be working through the actual details of how does this world work and where are we in it. And so that's what I'm going to go through now, today, is dry run that session 0 by going through the questions I have for them and answering them myself. To do that, we're going to be switching out of Mr. iPad and going to a text document. Everyone loves text documents. Yay, text documents. I'm a big fan of text documents. Oh my God. So we're going to put this here. I'm going to confuse myself because I'm putting in the window. I have like my stream window open on my screen. And so it's like the actual document here is on top of the stream view of that same document. I'm gonna get so confused. Namely, I cannot resize the window. So I'm gonna paste them. These are my goals for my session 0. Now, I am running them through an isekai campaign. 3 of them have never heard the word isekai before, and do not watch anime. One of them is fully aware of what isekais are, and one of them is vaguely aware of what isekais are. So all my characters, their backstory is they were alive in our world sometime in the last 40 years, and they died. Their characters died. And then they were reincarnated into this fantasy world at some point, at some time, and they all met together on a expedition between, I'll draw that. I'll just draw this. They are starting on a boat. They are starting on a boat because all good adventures start on a boat. Essentially, there's a kingdom of Astora that has some shape I'm going to determine with my players, and there is an undeveloped new continent to the west. And on that continent, there's a town called Westport, a town that's been around for somewhere between 15 and 100 years. It is not the first attempt to settle this continent, but it is the most recent attempt to settle this continent. And the why, where, who, and what are what we're going to determine through these questions. But the idea being is all five of those players are on this boat. Each one of them have been reincarnated from our world, and they coincidentally find themselves together on this adventure. What I'm asking my players is, I want them to tell me what was their previous life, who were they in our world before they died, and then how did they live their current life prior to arriving on this boat? Were they street urchins? Were they orphans? Were they aristocrats? Were they a merchant trading family? Were they from a small rural village that burned in dragonfire? Like, who are they? How they figure out their memories, and then why did they go on this adventure? Why are they going to Westport? Why did they join this expedition? Are they running from the law? Are they running from lovers? Is it wanderlust? Are they a part of an archaeological dig team? Did they go to magical college and this is how they get their final credits? Those are the sort of questions that we will work out, and part of the world building will help influence those questions. So that's the level of detail that they have. I, of course, have a bit more detail on things like, what's the deal with reincarnation? What's the deal with this other continent over here, and what happened to it in the past? Who else is on this continent? What are they doing? I have session 1 planned out already. What do boats look like? It's a boat. So going back to my widow document, that's a quick blurb here. But I want to try an isekai. I want them all to get a special move or ability based on their past life. So if, for example, they're like, in my past life, I was an artist and I love to paint. Then I could be like, okay, you have a special move around painting where any sort of role regarding painting, you get advantage, for example. Or they could be like, in my past life, I was a stage magician for the circus. And so any sort of role relying sleight of hand sort of maneuvers they can get advantage of, or kind of the general flavor I'm going for. Or if it's like they automatically succeed any sort of basic sleight of hand maneuvers. So my session 0 tomorrow has 4 goals. I want to answer questions, and this is the agenda I've sent them. I want us together to answer questions about the world. I want to establish the motivations of themselves, potentially, but also like, what are the political and economic motivations? I don't want to build a fantasy world that doesn't make sense. I don't want it to be where it's like, oh, we have a kingdom and in the middle of the kingdom is a mountain range. And it's like, no, man, you're not going to have a kingdom with a mountain range in the middle. The mountain range is the border. And like, what is the economic reason that motivates the kingdom to go to this new continent? There is, my source book is, I'm using Chasing Wilds. I am using, what's it called? I have it open. It's called, oh, I closed it. Oh, fuck me. Into the Weird and Wild and The Perilous Wilds are my 3 source material books for this. And, oh God, that's the wrong, Okay, there's the right window. And chasing adventure as the base rulebook. And part of the into the Perilous Wilds, there's a map for drawing. There's an activity guideline for drawing the map. And so we're going to go through that for the world and for the Westport, which is the main town in this new continent, to join in. And then discuss character directions between everybody. Because like I want people to riff off each other, build together, and create a cohesive group that wants to travel together and potentially is fun, you know, or like part of their backstory will influence world building. They want to say, I went to a magical school that presupposes the world supports magical schools. And what is the economically and social implications of having a magical school? How does that influence our other decisions about the world, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. World building. I'm still holding my pen. I need to set that pen aside and move my keyboard here. So, defaults. Defaults, there we go. Defaults are two parts. First part, what I do right now. My goal right now is to create the defaults of the world in case people don't have opinions, ideas, or influences. Otherwise, I'll admit, my default is gonna be very Discworld-like. Oh God, make sure I can alt tab correctly. And then everything's flexible. I think that's the key. Everything is in service of the characters in the story. Sorry. I feel a little self-conscious. I've never actually like typed on stream before, and so people are going to see my typing habits live, which is a bit spooky. And so the second is the world. I have a couple things I'm just affixing to the ground. 1 second. Oh God damn it! You know what happens sometimes? Fucking iCloud. How do I quit this? I've had this problem before where it's like, let me force quit iCloud here. I've had this problem with Obsidian and iCloud on Windows machines. Just like, they fucking don't work. They don't work when you're trying to type, and it drives me up a goddamn wall in task. Bye, iCloud. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. We'll check. Smell you later. Like, it's already made like 2 duplicates of this document. I fucking, oh God. Open a new window. It resized it. Give me a second here. Dude, don't dox me, bro. Bro didn't dox me. Okay. iCloud, why are you the worst? Why? I don't know how to fix it. The world. There's a couple things that I'm fixing in place that we're not going. One, it's an Earth-like planet. 2, there are regular seasons. There is 1 moon. There's 1 moon. No rings. This is the default. Now, if they ask for more, if they want multiple moons, we can add multiple moons. It's gonna really jork those tides. And there's no rings, but if they want rings, we can add rings. That's God, I don't want to think what a tide. What would a tide table look like? This is a coastal settlement. What would a tide table look like with 2 moons? My God. So the first question I'll ask as players is essentially, tell me about the gods. And working out what are the gods, of this world. And what does that mean? Are there gods? Are there demons? How involved are the gods? Is it a Discworld-esque pantheon? Is it a Faerun-like pantheon? Is it a Greek-like pantheon? Is it an Abrahamic monotheistic god? Is it just nature spirits like a Shinto type religion? What did the gods look like? Who are the gods? How involved are they? And importantly, are they real? Are they real? I'm really hoping. Let me tell you what I hope. My little foxy heart wants. My foxy heart wants someone to be playing a religious character who believes in the gods of this new world, new to them world. And I want someone who's a devout atheist who doesn't think the gods are real. I really want a devout atheist character as part of this campaign. So I can bring in actual gods to be like, I'm real, bro. And then they'll be like, nah, I don't know. My hope. Default is Discworld-like. And when I say by Discworld-like, which to me, my interpretation of Discworld is if there's enough faith, they exist. So if a bunch of people believe there's a god of the harvest, then there's a god of the harvest based on the belief of the people. And the two reasons I like this is, one, it sets up for some good cults. You can get some cult development, but also like, oh shit, what's it called? Folk beliefs. Like folk beliefs can have like a manifesting power in the world. And it's kind of like the collective manifesting will is what gives you your kind of cleric abilities or your powers of belief of kind of like the thought and direction and alignment of a large group of conscious sentient individuals creates the gods in the celestial realm that then have power and influence on the world itself. I like it a lot. We'll see what my players want. If they want a Greek pantheon of like terribly flawed gods who are like boning everybody and causing like demigods to spawn left, right, and sideways, great. They want like a fixed, like just a fantasy Faerun like 5e pantheon of slightly indifferent gods, that's fine. They want just like Shinto style, like everything has a spirit, and some spirits are bigger than others. Maybe we worship those spirits, but maybe not. We're cool, fine. If no one picks any sort of divinity-based caster class, maybe we don't have to address it. Maybe it's fine. So tell me about the gods. First question. Second, religion. Because those are two, in my mind, two very separate questions about the world. You can have the facts of the gods themselves, and then what religions exist. Do we have classic religions? Do we have just temples to every god here and there? Do we have the Church of the Smiling God? Do we have bloodstone altars? We'll find out. I know one player is big into cults, so the answer here is going to be yes. Oh, one problem about the Discworld, like there are bad gods / demons, right? You believe in people believe in bad things. So my default is there are many religions and temples to established gods, cults to less wholesome gods, random shrines to local and small gods. If you've not read Small Gods by Terry Pratchett, go find a copy of that book, close this stream, and go read Small Gods by Terry Pratchett. That's my default. Again, players will be able to change all of these things in my world going forward. However, I want to give them a default. The point of the stream is me working through out loud what my default is. Creatures of the world. Now, this one has two facets. One is I'm just stating straight up. There's no discussion. There is an array of non-magical and magical creatures. End of story. the extent of zoological diversity of the world is not fully known. E.g., maybe run something you've never heard of. And that gives me as the GM leeway to chuck some weird ass creatures at them that they will never have heard of. Versus like the problem with D&D, the problem with 5th edition or any edition D&D is someone says like, oh, you see a giant translucent cube. You're like, it's a gelatinous cube, my guy. I know what that is. I ain't getting sucked in and TPK'd by no gelatinous cube. Versus with this, I want to give them weird creatures they've never seen before. And that's why I'm doing Into the Weird and Wild, because Into the Weird and Wild has a bunch of like, not nuts, bananas, but like weird creatures like, here I click on called Moonslaver. And so this book I bought, unfortunately it does not have a printed copy. I really wish it had. I got Into the Perilous Wilds and Chasing Adventures have printed copies and I bought, but Into the Weird and Wild does not. I should probably check that. Google it real quick for myself to remind myself. But it's like Moonslaver, which apparently is a giant moth-like creature. It has like a drop table, it has abilities, it has little icons. I want to deviate essentially. Oh no, I closed that tab I wasn't supposed to close. Fuck me. History, recently closed. My DuckDuckGo search, there we go. Ah! Sorry, I'm fine. I don't want to stick with a traditional 5th edition creatures because people know it's like, ho ho, is that a troll I spy? Well, I know that I need to kill it to finally kill a down troll. I need fire or acid damage. I want to get away from that and be like, give them creatures they don't know. They don't know how to handle, unless their character's backstory means they know how to handle it. I want that unknown. There's a narrow path I want to tread. There's a narrow path I want to tread between comedy and horror. I want to run a comedic campaign, but I love running a touch of the horror in my campaigns. My first campaign I ever DM'd, honestly, only campaign I DM'd, let me be honest here and live my truth, was the Rime of the Frost Maiden module for D&D 5e. And I loved the balance of everyday life and horror of a fantasy world. Because if you really think about a fantasy setting, oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my Twitch stream here and I'm like, oh, it's buffering. Okay. It is like it's like minutes behind on my Twitch stream. How's YouTube looking? Yeah, YouTube's caught up. Twitch though, Twitch is like a good solid few minutes behind. My God, Twitch, get your shit together. I love to me, a traditional fantasy world, Discworld-esque, is a mix of comedy and horror. And I want to walk that line. I want them to be like in town slapstick comedy slapstick comedy adventures. But when they go out into the dark, unknown forest of the realm, I want them to find horrifying unknowns. I want them to feel perilous. I want them to feel like their life is in danger. And sometimes it's from a terrifying monster. Sometimes it's from some comedic situation they find themselves. Sometimes it's from their own choices that lead to this. And I want them to be wonder. I want them to be awestruck. I don't want this to be a power fantasy. I think that's what it is. I don't want a power fantasy. I want them to be delighted. That's what I want. I want them to feel things. I want emotions. What I don't want, and I said before, this is a pegging-free campaign. There's going to be no sex content in this campaign, which I think most of my friends, upon knowing me, they know that. However, we've already homebrewed myself some magical STIs, so I am ready. If any of them want to bone an NPC, they better be ready for some magic herpes, because I have that on lock. We have that ready. So in short, for this question, they're a bunch of creatures. Ha. Now, what they're the second part of the question, which is the more prominent, important part, that I want to see what they answer. How many sentient creatures? How common? The question is, how common is sentience? Now, this could be a fantasy world where there's just humans. Just humans? Boring. I think my default is a lot. There's a lot of sentience. A lot. We're gonna have like, there's humans, elves, beast folk, like what's boys, mermaids. There's kobolds. There's goblins. There's joblins. I've already homebrewed joblins, by the way. Joblins coming in hot. I'm ready. I am ready for that one. There's genocide. There's half ogres. There's Azamar, religion pending. There's sentient zombies. There's like vampires. There's golems. Like essentially like, leave it open. I don't want this to be restricted. I want players to say like, I want to play as a blank, and they can be that blank. They want to be a half elf? Great. Do they want to be a gnome? Fantastic. Do they all want to be humans? Boring, but okay. I doubt it, but you know what? If they all want to be humans, they can be humans. Lame. So that's a creatures question. Interesting. Easy. Essentially, I want this one. This I might affix, but I'll give them. I'll check for input. The next world building question for me is magic, and this is probably I think of the next three topics for what to ask my players are by far the three most important ones for me for building out the rest of the campaign. And we are starting with we're establishing magic exists. There's magic in this world. Wow, isn't that amazing? Fantastic. Because chasing adventure has magic in it. I can't be like, oh, also, I always roll wizards, so I can't, like, it'd be a bit hypocritical if I'm like, oh, there's no magic in this world, guys. If I can't be a player, nobody can have magic. I think magic is fucking awesome. It's fucking great. Reminds me of a quote from a friend in undergrad. He said, wizard, I will be a physicist. If I can't be a wizard, I'll be a physicist. As a close runner-up to a wizard is a physicist. Trying to understand the fundamental nature and workings of the world and probe it with devices that maybe you should not be building. E.g. lasers. Lasers are awesome. Lasers are great. If you get a chance to play with lasers, save one eye. You got a spare. So magic. And this is a hard one. This is a hard question because this is where it could take a lot of directions, right? There's two major thoughts of magic when it comes to fantasy settings. One is the kind of deterministic magic. This is your Brandon Sanderson, your Wheel of Times, your Final Fantasies, where you have like, there's magic crystals, there's aether, there's the weave, there's metallurgy, there's like a set mechanism for magic and how it happens, what powers it, and the rules of the world are kind of strict around that. Then there's the Lord of the Rings side of magic, where magic is kind of vague and unknown, and it's kind of like happens. Now, the general rule of thumb is if magic is central to your plot, it needs to be deterministic. If magic is like a deus ex machina and vague, it could be like Lord of the Rings style where it's never properly defined. I lean on the deterministic side, but I don't want to build a full magic system for my players. That's a lie. That's a lie. I would love to build a full magic system for my players, but I'm going to ask them what they want to be. Like, is there a known source of magic like the weave from Wheel of Time? Is there magic crystals and like magic concentration? Are there magicules in the air that people are manipulating? Is magic secretly nanobots? It probably not that option, but I honestly love that plot twist. Is it just a sufficiently advanced technology that people are manipulating? Is there a magical organ in creatures where it's like, oh, you're able to use magic because you have a mana crystal in you, or you have a pituitary gland version of magic? Is it like a nervous system where it's through your whole body instead of being a particular spot that can get magical STIs and get itchy? Is it how do magical creatures play into it? Do people kill magical creatures to harvest their magic crystals? Is that an economic activity? And so forth and so forth. And so that's the questions I'll be posing to the players. See if A, they have opinions on it, and B, if they want to know or let that unfold with the story. My default answer, I want magic crystals. Essentially, I want magicules. I want there to be magicules. I want magicules that like condense into magic crystals. Oh god, what I spelled wrong. Condense magicules will infuse creatures to allow magic. Condense. Imbue things sitting in high magicule density. Density manipulated by spellcasters. Density can be localized. Different flavors of magicules. Oh god, this wine's hitting real hard and I'm finding it hard to type. Essentially, not Discworld-like. Not Discworld-like magic. It's kind of what I'm going. Discworld magic is kind of like vague and doesn't really actually happen. This is my default answer. We'll see what the players. So magicules as kind of like a aether, effectively, right? Ooh, which would raise the question. Michelson Morley magical aether experiment. Yeah, let's toss that. It's Michelson Morley, right? Oh yeah, I spelled it right. For those who don't know, in the 19th century, here's a bit of physics history for you. Didn't think you'd be getting a physics lesson in this stream, did you? Too bad. Some of us are technically doctors in geophysics, and we know these things. They're super cool. In the 19th century, there was a theory that there was the unknown question of how does light work? What does light travel through? And one idea was like light is a wave, right? Light is a wave, and light travels through some medium. And what is that medium? Now, aether was proposed as a universal kind of like mist, effectively, that pervaded the universe, and light was vibrations in this aether. So far, so good. We're all on track with the aether theory of the universe. Michelson and Morley were two physicists who created a experiment to test whether this was true of the lumen. What's it called? I have it up here. Luminiferous aether for the propagation of light. And the experiment was, let me turn this off here. I loved for me, the Michelson-Morley experiment is for me like such a epitome of modern physics. Like if you look at the timeline of physics, the Michelson-Morley was the kind of like moment that like modern physics really like came to be. So you have some sort of light here, and the light shines on a diffraction grating, and essentially you have, it goes here, you have a mirror, it shines here and it goes up, it bounces off the mirror, it bounces off this mirror, and both these lights bounce and hit a sensor. Now the Michelson-Morley experiment, and we'll see if any of my players actually play this through, with an aether. So it's a gas that pervades the universe in which light propagates. It's established fact at the time of the Michelson-Morley experiment that Earth rotates around the sun. If the Earth rotated around the sun, it meant the Earth moves through this aether. So the Earth moves this way, right? If the Earth is moving at 800 miles per hour, how fast? I used to know this. How fast does the Earth orbit? Am I wrong? 800 miles per hour is the rotational speed. We're actually at 67K. Ooh. If the Earth is rotating 67,000 miles per hour through the aether, and you set up symmetric mirrors on this experiment for the Michelson-Morley experiment, what should happen is, in theory, as the light propagates through one arm of the experiment, orthogonal to the rotation of the Earth, the effective distance of this mirror should be shorter, because by the time the light, it's like lights going. By the time the light hits this mirror, it will have moved this way at 67 miles per hour, while this mirror also moved 67,000 miles per hour. Ooh, I was wrong. This way, but its effective arm distance in the experiment has not changed. So the net result, if there's an aether and the Earth is flowing through the aether, is that if this is X, this will become X plus delta X. Now, on the sensor, how this would show up is this would show up as interference pattern. It show up as interference rings of, instead of being just like an image of like uniform length, what we get instead is we get bands. We get bands of light, and then we could say from the distance of these bands, we can determine various factors about the luminiferous ether that the light is propagating through. However, they saw a uniform thing, therefore saying Earth is not moving through an aether, light propagates on its own. And thus, for my tabletop campaign, I want to know is if there are magicules and they exist as an aether, if any of my players will run through the Michelson-Morley experiment, because they have Earth knowledge coming to this magical world to determine how magicules propagate in the world. I don't know how engineering and technical my players are going to get for exploring the properties of this world, but by God, I am ready. I am ready for this. Do you want to homebrew laws of physics about how magic works? My God, you have the right, Foxboy. If, however, you don't care, fantastic, we can move on. Anyway, Michelson-Morley experiment, one of my favorite physics experiments. I liked physics a lot as a major. Could make a career of it. Oh man, I've deeply thought about doing physics content as a content source, and kind of like going through some like the Feynman lectures on physics books, some of my old physics lecture notes, because some of the experiments that people have run in the past to prove or disprove popular theories, it is super cool. Michelson-Morley, one of my favorite. Starfish Prime is a bonkers ass experiment. There's a period between 1947 and 1960 where they're like, what if we set off nuclear bombs in different scenarios and just kind of see what happens? And Starfish Prime was launching a nuclear bomb into space, exploding it, and being like, what is going to happen? What is going to happen with the launching nuclear bomb into space? Turns out is you create an artificial radiation belt that you can still measure to this day. Thank you so much for polluting the near space environment. US Army. So will my players investigate what magic means? How in depth will they go? What does magic look like? That is one of my big questions for my campaign tomorrow. I'm happy with whatever their answer is. I'm happy to say they don't care. If they want magic to just be magic and it's just magic, great, we can move on. But I think leveraging a deep science background with fantasy magic is just like, it's why I like Mark Lawrence as an author. I think Mark Lawrence has a physics degree. Mark Lawrence. Mark Lawrence is a British novelist. He runs a self-published fantasy blog off, blah, blah, blah. Oh, he has a PhD he has a degree in math and a PhD in, degree in physics, PhD in math. I think that's why I like his work a lot, is because he does things like, would you run the Michelson-Morley magical aether experiment? What does that mean? So I'm excited. What I don't want, it's actually nanobots. Zany face. I don't want that. I don't want that outcome. That's lame. That's boring. It's secretly Earth. Wow. That's what I don't want for my campaign. So the players want that. Tough shit, they aren't getting it. So this is my default answer. There's magicules. People manipulate them. Animals have them. And then the other one is magical artificing is my other question. Now, I've floated this idea with my players before, and the idea is limited is the answer. We don't want Magitech armor. We don't want magical Gundams. We don't want gun swords. We want just kind of like, you can get a magic sword. You can get some imbued leather armor. Maybe there's like a light that is magic based, but there's not like magical technicians or like magical blacks. Like a magical sword is made by taking magical ore and making a sword out of it, not like a technological answer to it. I think that's a general sense that I'm getting from my players, and I'm fine with that. I don't want to like go the full Final Fantasy Magitech route on this one. But the one thing is like magical tech's limited, but is it rare? That's the question I have to ask, because like if they say yes, enjoy not getting any cool loot. If they say it's not rare, then get ready for some absolute nonsense. It's like, oh, you just found a cup that is a never-ending cup that always pours out fresh lemonade that some wacky wizard made in the past. But I gotta think that through, because I cannot give my players things like, there's a couple of D&D 5th edition magical items that are common that are verboten from my campaigns. What's it called? Magical jug? Alchemist jug? Let me look this up real quick. Alchemy jug. Alchemy jug is the most broken ass uncommon magical item that exists in 5th edition D&D to this day. We got it once in one campaign years ago, like 7 years ago. One DM foolishly gave us an alchemy jug, and since then it has been the source of so much goddamn nonsense. You know why? Let me share the screen and let me show you why this absolute bonkers item. Window capture. This item to me is still like the most absolutely broken thing that's ever existed in D&D. This alchemy jug is by far, it's a jug, hence this jug here. It weighs 12 pounds, and every day you can have it produce a different liquid in different amounts. 8 ounces of acid, you're like, oh, this is fine. Basic poison, I'll go, oh, I'm a rogue and I like to poison things, great. Beer could be fun. Honey, a gallon of honey. Everything else is fine. Fresh water, 8 gallons of fresh water, great. Salt water, This is what doomed a campaign. We got the alchemy jug like day 2 in a campaign with a new group of players, and you know what we did? You know what we did every goddamn day? We made some sort of unpleasant mayonnaise-based salad as sustenance for the entire party. We almost died to coconut crab session 1, and we had crab salad. We had crab salad for a year. For a year, because our alchemy jug could make 2 goddamn gallons of mayonnaise. I'm not giving nobody an alchemy jug where they can make 2 gallons of mayonnaise or 4 gallons. Honestly, the beer, not the most problematic item on this list. It's the gallons of mayonnaise, a quart of oil. I don't want my players to have oil. I don't want to know what they're going to do with a quart of oil. You know what it's going to be? It's going to be gross. It's going to be lewd. I'm going to hate it. And I'm going to have to come up with some more magical STDs to prevent them from trying to bone some bird person that they met in a tavern. But the game's collaborative. It's collaborative. Oh, why have I signed up for this? It's fine. No alchemy jugs. Nice try, buddies. We are starting a yogurt business. The other one, create food and water. The other, let me turn it back on. Where'd it go? There it is. Create food and water is the other one. That is the other spell that you don't give players. It's 30 gallons of fresh water on the ground or containers. The 45 pounds of food, generic. 45 pounds of food per day, per long rest. The food is bland but nourishing. And you know what we did? I was privy to this, so I'm at fault. I'm at fault. I'll take blame. One of our party members was a priest, was a cleric. He learned the spell create food and water. And you know what we did? Every day we made 45 gallons of yogurt. We made 45 gallons of yogurt, and then we shoved a bunch of fruit and other types of, like, a bunch of berries and strawberries and bananas as he summoned it, because this is food. It doesn't say like one type of food, it's just food. So we would shove a bunch of, what is this? Oh, background music. We shoved, oh, you saw nothing. We made 45 gallons of yogurt every day, and we started a yogurt business. We started a yogurt business. We'd ferment it. We'd put fixings into it, and we sidetracked that campaign to start franchising a yogurt business through Barovia, while Strahd is looking on us. So like this sort of spell, not allowed. Right out. You don't give your players that sort of autonomy. No. Unless they ask. To be fair, giving players the ability to make me feel frustrated, 10 out of 10 worth it. me creating competing NPC parties to do quests better than them so they feel frustrated. Ah, love it. Having the last 2 campaigns of players, I think I like being a DM just because of like manipulating my players. It's so fun. It's so fun because I'm an evil person at heart. And so the manipulation, making them feel highs and then consequently feel lows, delightful. So these are my magic questions, which you'll see what they say, but this is my default. Technology name. It kind of goes in hand. The baseline is like, there are weapon-wise, there's crossbows. There are windmills. There are carriages. There are sailboats. There are no guns. There are no engine. There's such a no gunpowder or well, I would say no ice, but ice means something else these days, something less, something shitty that no one wants. It used to just mean internal combustion engines, not anymore. Is there magic technology? This is a question I don't know. So like healing magic, golems, is there like magical toilets? My default is that yes, and yes. Actually, let's call this magical sanitation. Essentially, like what level of magic exists in the world? How does it interact with technology, and how does that show up in the world? Is the question I'm trying to get at. I don't want guns. No guns, no engines, no artillery. And the fundamental question here is, and I don't have a default for this, but are we on the verge of Magitech Industrial Revolution? Like my mind is that in my mind, my campaign setting is around 18th century, age of discovery. We have a new world that people are discovering. We have new sailing technology. People are just discovering kind of like natural sciences, enlightenment. Maybe monarchs aren't the best leaders. Put at the top here. Gods, religion. Like I want like my inspirations are like Discworld, heavily Discworld, but also like Over the Garden Wall, which is kind of like this like colonial America-esque fantasy where it's not like Pocahontas or anything, but it's more like you've settled a new world. It's kind of like it's autumn, there's pumpkins, and maybe there's like some weird scarecrow monsters, or like there's like a fox god who watches over harvests, and like that verge between like it's not Renaissance, it's not medieval, it's not traditional fantasy, it's not industrial revolution, but there's like hints of industrial revolution. Like maybe there's windmills and there's water wheels, and there's just the start of like a construction guild and teamsters and a union who are in charge of like magical construction, and they've just realized that if they band together that like they can control the means of production. It's like the hint of political revolution, but we aren't quite there yet. And the question is are my players that spark of revolution? Will they overthrow local government? Will they accept the authority of a king in order to get this stability of a settlement? Are they going to try to push forward technology with their knowledge of our current world? Or are they going to enjoy a life of luxury as an aristocrat's son? I want there to be like a little bit of that tension, a little bit of that edge in the campaign. And I'm trying to like figure out how to get there in a way that isn't like blatantly slap you in the face obvious, but is also isn't erased by the player's choices. And that's the challenge as a GM for me, and why I want to leave a lot of these things open-ended for the players to discover as we play and build the world together. But at the same time, they need a baseline to build their characters, because if they want to be a magic character, they need a rough idea of how magic works in order to build up that character's childhood. So there's a tension between me and the players in the collaborative world building. We're all on the same side, and that side is we are here to have fun. We're here to enjoy ourselves, to make bits, to create scenes, and to have like through lines of discovery. But to not be like aimless, right? Like my players, I know my players. Well, I know 3 of my players. I'm adding 2 new players and we'll see how they go. I know 3 of my players. Well, one of them, I know 2 of my players very well. If I left it up to them, it would be nothing but bar crawls, shopping trips, and seducing NPCs. And they would dilly, they would dally, they would fadoodle like the best of them, and they would never once progress the story, which is why I am all for chasing adventure. One aspect that we're not talking about, hidden from players. Hidden from players. If you're one of my players and you're watching this stream, shh, don't look at this part. There are hidden factions in the game. This is a chasing adventures aspect. There are hidden factions in the game, and they will progress their agenda each session, regardless of the players. So if they want to fadoodle and fadaddle for a session to learn how to grow, to compete in the local county's biggest pumpkin contest, they can. Will this hidden cult put forth their agenda by one step in the meantime? Maybe. My goal is to have like 4 storylines going in the world, like 4 factions that are all progressing forth their own agendas to reach their own goals, and the players can engage or not engage in those storylines as they choose, and there'll be consequences either way. So if they want to dilly-dally, they can dilly-dally. If they want to pursue the quests I give them, they can pursue the quests I give them. But the end point is up to them, and I'm hoping about 5 to 10 sessions in, I'll know the direction they're taking, so I can actually create an actual like solid endpoint for them to aim towards. So I don't want this campaign to go forever. I like the campaign to go for about 12 to 18 months to 24 months. So however long they want, really. Or until I get bored and Deus Ex Machina them to the end of days. Ha ha ha. Ha. Now we've got magic, we've got technology, we have the gods. Next is organization and I'm now half a bottle of wine in. This is a rough time for me. I am feeling fantastic right now. I am feeling top of the world. I am at the point of wine consumption where I know I should drink more water, but pretty much all my inhibitions are gone. And let me tell you, I have a lot of inhibitions. I'm a very straight-laced, uptight type of person, very anxious, very socially anxious. I'm at the amount of wine my inhibitions are lower to the point where like if I really like somebody and I was hanging out with them, just the 2 of us, and I had this much wine, and I think about kissing them. That's the level of wine I'm at, which is like the peak. This is like that peak curve of just enough to feel great and inhibition's gone, but not enough to like feel bad. This is the sometimes Spanish enjoys making out amount of wine. Once every 5 years. Okay, organization and politics. Unfortunately, I don't feel like this most of the way, and that's why I don't date anybody, because it's a lot of hassle. The other question to ask, I think I have like 3 more questions for the players. And this is the hard one. This is probably the hardest and most influential question to ask my players is, what sort of organization and politics exists in the world? Like, I give them the fact that there's a king. They're in the kingdom of Astora. Which, I'll be honest here, is both a deviation of a Dark Souls name and the name of a town off the Oregon coast. Oh God, I'm starting to hiccup. I'm switching to water. Kingdom Astora. So the question is, what sort of government structures are there? The default, and what we're talking about here, is there's a king, competing, aristocratic factions. There are and then there are non-governmental organizations. And these are going to be, there's going to be an Adventurers Guild. There are Adventurers Guild, please note. Adventurers Guild. There are schools. There are universities. There are magic schools. This is my default. There's like trade guilds. There is a merchant class, right? Now, open. This is where I want to really lock in our players. I don't know. Is there a licensing? Like doctor, lawyer. Are there insurance companies? Are there corporations? Are there banks? Are there hospitals? Is there like do we have like, is it police or watchmen or militia run? This is all for the home territory that they have left. So that's probably like, some of these questions are to establish what does the world look like, because I want them to know like this is the society they grew up in, and how much of this is then reflected over in Westport on the new continent. Which I'm waiting for them to realize that like Westport exists on the east side of the continent, and it's called Westport because it's the west of the kingdom, not because it's the west port of the continent. And I have one player who is going to be so bothered by this that I'm ready to see the frustration in his eyes when he realizes this is why I call it Westport. I'm ready, and I will get so much joy out of that. Ooh, caps lock. Does it vary by country? Does it vary by country? We're at 2 hours. I've been streaming for 2 hours. Oh, it's only going to be a hour stream, he said. Oh, and then the other politics question is, how frequent is war? So those are the questions I kind of want to ask the players. I have my head is kind of like a Discworld, like Thieves Guild. Essentially, I want to, my heart of hearts, my deep heart of hearts wants to run a Discworld campaign set in Ankh-Morpork. And I'm trying to recreate Ankh-Morpork in the Kingdom of Astoria, but the Jingo-esque version of it on this new continent, which is definitely not a story about colonialization. My God, if anyone tries to make it a story about colonization, I'll be like, look, the continent's empty. No one lives there. There are ruins and there's maybe some Roanoke situations, but there's no like native population that we are subjugating. So I don't want to get into that whole political morass. I just don't want them to be in a I want them to be in a frontier city. Economy. This is the one I don't know about. What is the main economy of the kingdom? And then I don't have an answer to this one. We'll come back to that. The other one is society. I'm just going to put my foot down and say Astora is very welcoming of everyone who cares about money first. It's a very Ankh-Morpork of them. Like, are you a vampire? Great. Do you have a job? Are you a lawyer? Wonderful. Can you add to the city GDP? Fantastic. Not sure. I'm not sure of neighbors though. Like maybe you have some neighbors who like this neighbor hates humans, or this neighbor hates magic, or man, this one is made up solely of Azamar. Fantastic. What is the main economy of Stora? And then we'll get, this is the motivation that I don't have an answer to. Why Westport? Why does the country want to spend all this effort to settle a new continent? That is the open question. So my players have two open questions. And these are questions I'm not going to answer. These are questions they're going to have to discover through the campaign. Is why and how were they reincarnated? And what's the deal with this continent? I'm not going to answer those. It's a play the game and find out. I have some answers in my head, but there's a chance that some of those players are watching this, and I don't want to give that away. So, this is all about the Kingdom of Astora, or the world, I guess. Now of Westport. Some facts about Westport. Westport is 2 months by sea from Astora. We start 1 week into the sea journey. That's why I'm starting my players off, as they have been on this boat for 1 week with each other and introduce themselves. Who are they? Where do they come from? How they decide to travel there? Who else are they traveling with? I have a crew manifest built up already. I need to practice the accents. That's for session 1. It's not for session 0. Question is, how long has Westport been around? Is the question. My default is 50 years. So like almost one generation worth of people have lived in Westport with influx of people coming from elsewhere. There have been past attempts. Too many T's. There have been past attempts, and some have been at Westport. Other places, and then some Roanoke situations. I'm pulling a lot from early American history because it's kind of like interesting. I'm waiting for my players to realize that like they only know about Westport due to propaganda, and maybe there are other settlements on this continent from other countries. Maybe not. There are ruins of previous civilizations. This is a fact. I'm going to keep this on the settlement, and then Westport settled near ruins. This is part of the map activity of drawing out the map. But it's a fact I'm establishing wholesale. Like, there have been previous civilizations, previous colonization attempts, but they have been wiped out. And we don't know why. We don't know what happened to them. And that's part of the mystery of the world. Because the world needs mystery in it. But then the economic reason for Westport, why go to Westport and this continent? This is a question I really want to work out with my players. There is obviously land for expansion. Easy. Gold. Magical resources. This ties into the resource question. Are there mana crystals? Magical. Magical ore. Harvesting magical creatures. A lot of reasons. Just unique resources. Tea, coffee, cocoa, tobacco. I don't know what the rules are for about drugs. About drugs, whatever. Are we just looting ruins? Unknown, but the king wants it. Now this depends on the earlier question about how powerful the queen. If the king is like a figurehead, not happening. If I swear to God. Oh God, iCloud has made 18 goddamn fucking copies of this document. iCloud, why are you a piece of shit? Why is file syncing services so goddamn hard? But if the king has no power, this option is not on the table. If the king has power, the option on the table. So this is when I don't have a default answer for this. My default answer is probably these two. Unique resources, like it's the only place I can grow coffee and cocoa and tobacco and drugs and mushrooms. And magical resources like mana crystals and magical ore. Easy, straightforward, great. Oh, I also have the other question is why now? This is the one I don't have a good answer for or a good default because it depends so much on like, it's so contingent on the rest of these answers that other things can be like sailing tech makes it easy now. It could be above reason. Like we just discovered chocolate. I'm like, oh shit, man, this is amazing. I'm addicted now. It could be change in political factions. A war ended, and so we now have a different focus on the military. It could be, depending on the God question, it could be divine revelation. Revelation. Can't feel my fingertips anymore because my swine, that's fine. So this is for the baseline, but like this isn't what the players are motivated by. Right? They have their own personal reasons to get there. So that's kind of my dry run of what the questions I want to ask my players for establishing this world and building up what my head is essentially Discworld cross over the garden wall. Inspiration. That's my inspiration for the Over the Garden Wall for the Americana setting, Discworld for the actual mechanics of the world. Then I'm going to go through an activity where we draw the map. I'll run through it real quick here. The draw the map activity is kind of neat. It's this guy. Here we go. Here we go. iPad back here. My little iPad. My little iPad. Oh my god, man. What the? Oh no, I've had too much wine. There we go. So the draw the map activity is pretty straightforward. It's like you go in a circle and you have a big piece of paper. You have a big piece of paper. And you take turns and you're like, everyone draw a region. So you just like here is Astoria. Someone's like, here's the neighboring kingdom. And here's Westport. And here's some other region. Here's like an island chain, right? Like you draw the map. And then here's our little boat. And then you start the regions, and then from each region you draw like, here is a city, here is a mountain range, here is a forest, here is a small village. And then you draw like, how are they all connected by like, here's the roads, and here's like a mountain pass, and here's like a river with a delta. And then you draw through and you go through and you draw like, I was born here. I was born up here. I have a personal case. Like, I lost my first love, died in this gorge over here. I was reincarnated in a small town located deep in the forest. And you go through and you add like how the road system works, how the water works. You add rumors and legends about things. It's kind of a fun activity that I can't reproduce on my own right here because like that defeats the purpose. I think my general guidance is going to be like, for the world, Kingdom of Story, kind of like this, like mountains on either side. And then on this side somewhere is Westport. My handwriting is deteriorating fast. And then like how I feel in is fine. I want to do one that's the global, and it's kind of like a warm-up activity for everybody. And then I want to repeat it with them for just Astoria, just for Westport. So then it's going to be like, and then have them like draw the coastline, what it looks like, and like draw a mountain range here and like a grand forest, like a river that comes in, and maybe there's like a cave system up here that they have rumors about, and maybe there's like a goblin camp over here. And like I want them to build the world that way. And so we have like here's the world where our characters come from, and then we have a world in which we are starting the campaign. I want them to draw that, and then I can create the stories and the adventures from there. And that's gonna be like a fun activity. And then like probably the last thing is then what? Draw a pen. The last thing is walking through. This wine's hitting much harder than I thought. Woo. Drink some water. Is walking through what their character directions are. Because I'm not asking them to come into tomorrow with characters fully fleshed out, because how their characters are built depends on the world building we do and also each other. And I want them to work and riff off each other to create these characters. But importantly, I want them to develop backstories, and I want to hear the backstories will introduce consequences to those characters. Like if they came in hot and said like, I was reincarnated and I was asking everybody about reincarnation, I'm going to be like, hey man, you got a letter on your pillow that said, shush about this reincarnation business. It is more than you need to know. And maybe that'll influence them from those hidden factions I mentioned earlier. And so there's gonna be consequences for their background and their choices and how they live their life. That's probably the fun part. That's probably the fun and collaborative part, is they can choose what they do, but I get to decide consequences. And I love deciding consequences. And it's going to be a great time. It's going to be a fun time. And we're going to order pizza, and it's going to be great. And that's kind of like my session 0 dry run. I feel like I did I got a pretty good sense of getting some defaults in place through this document and kind of worked through what I wanted. So, spelling errors aside, because of the wine. Haha. I'm driving tomorrow, so I will not be drinking during any of this. So it'll be a much more sober, much more contained and controlled environment. That's kind of what I wanted to run through today. It's kind of like dry run for me to prepare for, look at 18 iCloud, fuck off. And no. Oh my God, iCloud, why are you so bad? Why are you so bad, iCloud? Oh, I muted the wrong thing. Oh, fuck me. That's kind of all I got for today's chatting stream. Haha. I will side note, 100% unrelated to all of this. And I don't know if other VTubers have this, but like there is a very slight dysmorphia that happens where it's like the Sanish body type, the body type of my model is generally how I see myself. My flesh body self. And so from like neck down, I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's roughly how I feel about myself. But like hairstyle wise, I'm like, aside from I don't have cool orange hair. But hairstyle wise, I'm like, not far off. But I still get like a bit of dysmorphia about like this weird space where like seeing myself as Sanish and the Sanish model, and then seeing myself as myself in the mirror, I'm just like, there's a gap there, and it feels weird, and it feels strange, and I don't know how to fix it, but it hits me every now and then. I was like, my little mouse here. Wanting to look like an anime fox boy, and then being like, I'm not actually an anime fox boy all the time. I'm like, sob. Anyway, it just hit me deep. It's the wine talking. Let's ignore it. Move on. Move past that. And that's pretty much all I had for today's stream on my content. I'll be doing this dry run tomorrow with Dandy. I hope it goes great. I hope it goes wonderful. I hope we have a lot of fun and enjoy ourselves, because that's the goal. It's just enjoy yourself with friends, have fun, find places that spark joy, and embrace them. I think I have my next stream, I think is listed 7 p.m. Sunday. I have a TBD stream listed. I've not decided what it is yet, and I still have not decided what it is yet, but I'm still kind of like searching around for a game stream that sparks joy in myself for streaming. So I might be reverting to something I've done before. I might be trying something new. We'll find out on Sunday. Thank you all for joining me for this wine-fueled chatting and D&D prep stream. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their Friday evening, depending on your time zone. It might be over. And I hope everyone has a wonderful, fantastic, beautiful lovely weekend, and I'll see everybody Sunday 7 p.m. when I stream next, or just the next time I stream. With that, I'm gonna say good night, goodbye, and ta-ta, everybody. Bye-bye.